going to talk about the aging population that you'll probably often hear about it, and it's very, very how can I put it this way? If I look at it now, it's just that the fact that more and more people tend to live longer, and the ratio of elders are pretty much outweighing the birth in the future. Now, only one of the country has a large population of the aging population, which is Japan. Now, I watched the video about aging population in Japan, and I did not know about this. 1/3 of the country is seniors. So they're all retired over the age of 65. That's their retirement, and as well getting the pension. And they're talking about it's the burden of the society and the taxpayer. It just could not sustain, in a long run, because it's just chewing up so much. There's very little facilities for the retirement village or things like that, or any age facility. Now, this will be a very booming sector in the future, but what I'm trying to say here is that most Western country, on the video it says most countries in the world will be heading towards the aging population society. Now, this is regards to talking to my generation, above my generation, and it's just there's a lower birth rate. Now, governments tackle the low birth rate by introducing migrant waves, or perhaps just taking in skilled migrants, but essentially the cost of living, everything is on the rise. So if it wasn't for the skilled migrants or refugees coming in, then we will have a very, very low birth rate. And that is the main reason why Germany, who accept the 1 million refugees to stay in Europe. Now, many says it's just there to support the elders, one of the main reason behind. But as I look further in, and the media doesn't show much about it, what's going on actually in. Now, I can't just blabber on and not show you evidence, but here's a video on the side. I'm driving, so I can't do much. So it's just to show the fact that it's just, people are coming in, and especially in right now, Greece and Italy, there's massive of North African, it's flooding even more. So it's not only just 1 million refugees, there's a lot more going on. I think I got the sun. But also the sun, like many of the North Africans is coming in. And Gaddafi was talking about, like, if you invade their country or you take him out, there's going to be a huge African wave, and it's currently going through right now. There's bloody huge of them. So it's funny to see that there's a huge migrant wave. Now, Australia is one of the countries who said it in the bloody worldwide, saying we are closing the borders. So I know I'm going off the topic, but that's how things are going in Europe. But Europe in the future is going to look very, very different, and even today as well. Now, the aging population, what I'm seeing now, like especially in the UK, now they have pretty much taken in migrants and things like that, and the refugees are part of the 1 million and around, and as well with the North Africans. So now the Britons, UKs are cutting social security in certain areas. Now, I'm not really familiar what's going on, but I do, however, there's a lot of videos about cutting the veterans' pensions, and and as well the income tests for locals, like local citizens that meet the inquiries about the pensions. So governments are tightening up really hard, but the refugees and the migrants are coming in who is under eligibility to get on it, most likely. I'm not specifically talking and complaining about it. What I'm trying to say on this video is that you look at this car right now, right? You can save as much money as you can, right? Now the government would try to say like super things like that, but when you head to aging society, aging population, it's just going to cause what I'm seeing signs, reading between the lines of UK, is going to get a lot more stricter in Australia. And right now we do see the fact that right now it's currently retirement age 67, and it's keep on increasing. It went from 60 and then 62 and then 65 and now it's 67 just recent years. So even if you do save 300k or 400k, right, that's including your super or whatever you have, right, it just costs too much dynamic. Like how much could you fulfill your life? Like this car is a 90 model Mazda Miata, or you guys call it MX-5 NA, and it's like this sort of luxury life. And it's not luxury, but like back then it was kind of like it's a pretty good thing, but now nobody buys it. But I find it's like you can see it as, it's an awesome car, but it's just the fact that how could you be happy when you do think about that stage? And I've been constantly thinking about it, because whatever decisions that I made and the choices that I made right now, and I try to prolong my surviving rate. Now, for the aging population, a lot of countries has growing the elders, the old, the retirement age has gone bigger than the birth rate. The birth rate is kind of shrunking down because of the cost of living is keep going up, and utility bills as well. Everything is going up. So basically, what's going to happen in the future, if there's less birth rate and large, aging society, or perhaps you'll call it more aged people, basically we cannot sustain with enough taxes to make all these pensions. But hey, Pulsar. But it's just the fact that I don't think it's ever going to exist in the future in my generation to ever get pensions. Now I might say it now, it might think, things might change in the future, but what I try in a sense of all my studies and everything, how the welfare is kind of dismantled in Australia and the parts of Western world, I can't speak, but the government's try to realize, they try to reduce the the spending on the welfare. So essentially in my generation, they probably have pensions, but they probably is a very low rate. For example, the unemployment benefit has not increased the benefit for essentially the last 19 years. So essentially what governments are trying to do, try to sustain, trying to maintain or reduce the try to reduce the gosh, I lost for words because the truck went by. But essentially, gosh, I got lost already. But this is the stuff that we should be knowing about it, because you'll be working in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s and 60s. And I've been studying with the human development, going through each stages, what you're supposed to do in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s as well. But essentially, I don't see the future that is going to be any retirement at all. I know countries like Singapore, like based on my family members who went to Singapore. Let me just rip this, alright? So based on the fuck, I love that feeling. Based on Singapore, I don't think I need to double check, but they've been telling me most of the taxi drivers or like easy labor jobs are all for like all elders, and pretty much their retirement age is pretty much has risen, or there's no pension, age pension. So even though Singapore is a very small country, I do see a lot of the world needs to sustain their welfare, social security spending. Now, as you know, getting on a welfare benefit, there's a asset test or eligibility test, or perhaps you have to meet the requirements to able to receive the government welfare state. Now, the government welfare will sooner or later, all of us will be gone onto the welfare because of the assets and the money that we have and everything. But essentially, now it's gone tougher to stage that you have to pretty much used up all your money and your assets in order for you to get an age pension or whatever pension it is. That is a huge problem. Back in the days when people sees Australia is like a golden opportunity, a fair go society, which is a very, very strong. But now having the mean test based on the your assets and your income, essentially what they're trying to say is that what, you're not gonna get it because you have this. So essentially, whatever what you have in your bank account, whatever what you have, you have to give up everything, and even this car as well. So in order to go up to a government and prove to them that you have no assets, no money in the bank account, or things like that. And that's how you essentially get the welfare on the age pension. Now, why I'm talking about it is because you have to understand the domino effect that I've just mentioned to you guys. Right from the beginning of the aging population, and how much it does affect and low working people. Now, how would this go? I don't know how would things goes. I could see what's going on right now, but essentially what the government, I now got the what I'm trying to say the other day, a moment ago. So pretty much the see, right now we're living a freedom society, individualism as well. Essentially what the government, even though the government tried to dismantle the welfare, it all depended down to a collectivism, like a family orientated instead of being an individualism aspect. So that's the only way to survive. So pretty much I'm screwed in the future because I'm only saying it now, you never know in the future. I don't see myself getting married or have kids. So if the government dismantled welfare, and probably you guys will think about this, if you're at the age and you're not having kids or this and that, in the future the government's not going to give you any welfare or anything, and depending on your family and your kids to support you. Now, I know nowadays kids won't think that way, or even my generation would do the same thing for my father or a generation above me. But it's just the stage of a wake-up call. I think what I'm trying to talk about on this video is a wake-up call. We don't have many role models or guidance or mentors to talk about this. Like we flip on the news or anything, they guide you to good work, but the birth rate is going to get shrinking, and the aging population is going to increase. Now, as I'm living in Victoria State in Australia, it's the first state that approved for the euthanasia. So they're talking about euthanasia for complex or perhaps cancer patient, but essentially it probably will trickle down, leaving government trickle down to aging elders, because government need to find ways of reducing spendings and everything. So basically what I'm trying to say, like, you live in this society, it's favorable individualism society, favor younger age towards which they eligibility of getting, access of services. But once you get to the old ass, you're not going to get much. So that is the major concern of thinking. And even if you do save money, like $400K, right? If you have $400,000, how much would that last you, right? Now, that's the thing, right? Like, our cost of living is like this, 400,000. Maybe if you have a car, maybe I don't know, maybe 10 years. I don't know, 10 years will last you. 15? Would 15 will last you? 400K? So that's why it's a lot of people are very angry about this situation. And who would have thought bills and utility bills have been spiking this much, where government has been privatization pretty much every single thing that they have, that they owned before. So it's just, I don't know what to say now. That's the whole video, is just talking about aging the whole time. I just need to check the time, see if I'm late. But it's just we don't know what's going to happen. We'll probably just start off by one of the euthanasia needles. And I know Sweden is already having euthanasia, and parts of the world have euthanasia. And boy, in the comments below, would you want it to live, I don't know, what sort of age that you wanted to live up to? That is the question. Because nowadays, people tend to live older and older. So 80s is like, 70s and 80s like kind of average nowadays. But like 90s, 100, I don't know, like it's just gonna get progressively gets older and older and older. But what do you prefer to live up to? And that is the question that I've been asking myself. Because now you got that euthanasia option in the future, whether they're gonna approve or not, because of the government will find ways to reduce fundings. But yeah, comments down below. Hope this is like a great video for you guys to go through. Hope it's not noisy. I don't know what's the volume is like, but anywho, enjoy your day.